name is Sukriti, and I work at the ONS in the Center for Subnational Analysis. And I'm not sure if people know about the MOU that the GLA has with the ONS. Under the MOU, there are two people in the London regional team, which the GLA funds. And in turn, we support the GLA economics, especially, and the City Intelligence Unit widely in supporting their statistics, in supporting their publications and articles and whatever they want us, our inputs for. So I'm going to talk about the work that we do in the Center for Subnational Analysis in ONS. Mainly the regional and sub-regional labor productivity article, which is kind of our signature article that we publish every year. Then I'll move on to the job quality indicators, which is a very interesting publication that we did last year. Then some other publications, and finally the support that my team provides to the GLA economics and the City Intelligence Unit. So the way the Center for Subnational Analysis is structured is it's relatively new, and it came as the need for having more local and regional statistics with the Bean Review and with increased devolutionary powers to combined authorities and city regions. There was a need that this center should be formed. So we are a team of around 20 people across ONS sites, and the team includes a regional economic analysis team, which consists of experts and economists. Then there's a spatial analysis, geospatial analysis team, which works also with the EU and kind of represents the center on these international platforms. Then there's our team, which is the London team, which is funded by the GLA. And then there is another team which works for other city regions except London. So we work across different departments and different combined authorities and city regions and deliver analysis for smaller geographies across the UK. So this is a very signature publication. It provides the labor productivity numbers, which is a parameter for the economic performance of an economy, of a regional economy. So we define labor productivity as output divided by input. So the output in terms of the gross value added, the GVA, and how much input or the number of hours that went into producing that output. So output divided by input. So that's the labor productivity, how we define it. And as you can see in the chart, if you assume UK to be at 100, it's like an index. So if you assume UK as 100, London is 33% above UK average, so it's about 133. And the only other region that is above UK average is Southeast, and the others are just below UK average, with Northern Ireland being very close to 20 points below the UK average. So yeah, so there's a large gap between different regions, and London, of course, performing really well. But so the headline figures for London in terms of labor productivity do mask significant regional disparities within London. So as you can see in the chart, Tower Hamlets is about 80% above the UK average. And there are some regions which are below the UK average as well. So, for example, Croydon is the lowest, and even Sutton and Kingston upon Thames. So, yeah, so there's a lot of disparity within regions in London as well. So then we did a little bit of analysis on why there are differences between different regions in labor productivity. What are the sources of those differentials? And we found that two sources contributed heavily towards the productivity differentials. One was the firm productivity differences, which is the general strength of the firms irrespective of the industry composition of a region. And the second was the industry composition or the industry mix effect, which is the differential coming out of different industries performing well or not well. irrespective of the firms within that industry. So we found that the firm level productivity differences contributed more significantly to the productivity differentials between different regions, and the industry mix effect had only a small effect. So yeah, so as I said, the firm level productivity differences contribute more significantly to the productivity differentials. And then we did a bit of analysis on the firm level productivity distribution using a different survey, the annual business survey. And we couldn't find, as you said, we couldn't really go beyond London level. So, but the idea behind this chart is basically that every region has a good mix of high and low productive firms. It's just that London and Southeast have a higher share of more productive firms, and that's why their productivity levels are higher. So another kind of analysis we did was the job quality indicators publication that we published last year in December, and it gained a lot of media attention as well. So it was the outcome of a user engagement workshop or an exercise that we did with other combined authorities and city regions, and they were very much interested in having an indicator of job quality of their region. So we did some consultations with organizations who have already worked on this kind of a thing, and we worked with Carnegie UK, and we looked at ILO definitions and Taylor reviews and the good work plan as well. And there were about 18 proposed measures for a good quality job, but we used these 3 indicators, which were satisfactory hours, desired contract, and a person not being in low pay or a low pay measure. So for example, the satisfactory hours, so it was made up of 2 things. One was that that person should not be working greater than 48 hours per week. So they should be working less than or equal to 48 hours per week. And they should not be willing to work more, or they should not be underemployed. So that was satisfactory hours. Then desired contract, the employee should either be in a permanent contract or should have a valid reason for not being in a permanent contract. Then a low pay measure was calculated using 2/3 of the median income of that region that the person resides. So whoever is earning above 2/3 of the median income of a region is considered to be not in a low pay measure. So these were the 3 definitions that we explored, and we did a lot of analysis on each of these definitions, and I'm just going to show a little bit. So the Greater London Authority is the second from the top, and this is disaggregated by male and female and the total number. So Greater London Authority and Aberdeen City region were the only 2 regions to have less than 80% of people working satisfactory hours. So they were about 78% in both London and Aberdeen who were working below satisfactory hours. And if you look at the male and female difference, you'll see that Aberdeen and London both have a very high difference between male and female, and females are more likely to be working satisfactory hours than males. Then desired contract. So this is whether a person is in a permanent contract or has a reason for not being in a permanent contract. So here again, it's about 98% of people everywhere were in a desired contract. There were no significant differences between the different city regions as well. So this was quite a constant figure. And then the low pay measure, again, London. So Cambridge, London, and Aberdeen. These 3 were the most prominent coming out of the chart, and the others have almost the same measure. So Cambridge, London, and Aberdeen have the most number of people who are in a low pay. And the difference between male and female is also quite high in Cambridge, especially in Cambridge. So yeah, so women are more likely to be in low pay compared to men. So so if you look at the article, there's an interactive map like this. So I've just copy pasted a screenshot from the article. So you can actually select any of the local authorities and find out how your local area fares in these indicators. And you can also switch on and off those 3 indicators to see in each measure how your local authority is faring. So yeah, it's quite interesting. So do have a look. So in terms of quickly talking about some other publications that we have published over the last years. So trade is something that we have worked quite constantly every year, and there have been a lot of improvements as well. So service exports is one of our signature publications as well, and we are trying to publish some imports figures as well, probably this year. It will come out. So here again, London is a very prominent player in trade, in UK trade, and it constitutes about 42% of the entire UK service exports. And we've also done this breakdown by the country of destination. So it's about 40-60 ratio of EU and non-EU, where these exports are going, basically the country of destination. And we've done a lot of breakdowns by industry and products and service types and stuff. So yeah. And this is again another very interesting publication that was published last year, and perhaps there's going to be an update this year as well. So this was a joint project between us and the Ordnance Survey, and we did some analysis on high streets based on the population, the property prices, employment, and business turnover. And this chart is about number of businesses, the change in number of businesses in high street versus non-high street, not on high street. So the blue bars are the change in number of businesses which are not on high streets. So as you can see, London has a very high percentage of high business growth in non-high street areas compared to high street areas. And we've also done this analysis by different industries. So we found that the retail businesses have seen more growth in non-high street areas compared to high street areas, which is quite interesting to understand the decline in high streets in the UK. So Economies of Ale was a very fancy name that we gave to our publication on the declining number of pubs. So we did some analysis on declining number of pubs in the UK by local authority and the employment structure and the occupation structure of people working in these pubs. So this is again a screenshot from the publication. And yeah, so you can select the local authority basically and see the change in the number of pubs in your local area. So this was also a very famous publication, and it gained a lot of media attention because of pubs. So yeah, so finally, I want to talk a little bit about the support that me and my team provides to the GLA, especially to the GLA economics. And yeah, if you see like fancy charts and numbers from GLA economics here, and please, remember me. Yeah, so we are the people behind those publications.
Sorry, the mistakes were attributed.
Yeah, I'm sure you're doing that, yeah. Yeah, so our key responsibilities are basically providing statistical data and analytical data tables, supporting the City Intelligence Unit in their various research articles and publications, etc. And apart from that, we also try to engage ourselves in constant ONS publications. So, for example, the Economies of Ale publication is an outcome of data requests coming from the GLA. So we have incorporated that as a regular public ONS publication. And we also try to help the GLA with complex analysis. The economic analysis team in the Center for Subnational Analysis have been working with the GLA economics on a particular project which involves employment rates. And then we also do a lot of training. In the past, we have done trainings on Excel. We are trying to collaborate with the GLA economics and the policy team to do a training on disclosure control, suppression, and why we do disclosure control, the basics of using sensitive data. And then we have also provided a lot of information on different types of data. We provide advice to the GLA economics on a regular basis. And then finally, we do a lot of dissemination and consultative work as well. I try to keep the GLA informed about upcoming and future ONS publications, which I think might be of interest to them. And I also gather some user feedback from the GLA to feed it back into the ONS people so that they can understand how users are using their data, basically. So just to give some examples of the work that we've been doing. So we have supported the local industrial strategy evidence base that was published on 12th February, very recently. The final report was published recently, and we have given a lot of data to support that evidence base. So the chart on the left is the employment rates by parental status in London and UK. So Londoners with no children have a higher employment rate compared to UK people, but then parents in London have a lower employment rate compared to UK parents. And then we've also provided a lot of data on the London living wage, number of jobs above or below London living wage. And here, as you can see, there's about 12% jobs in London that are paying less than the London living wage in 2006, but that has grown to 20% in 2018.
Less than that?
Less than the London living wage.
And it's grown to what?
Sorry?
Sorry, you said it's grown.
It's grown because in 2006, only 12% of the jobs were paying less than the London living wage. And in 2018, there are 20% jobs, 1 in every 5 jobs.
That's terrible.
That is terrible. So yeah, so economic fairness indicators, again, we have supported the economic fairness indicators on a regular basis. They have been published by the demography unit of the City Intelligence Unit. And the chart on the left is graduate and non-graduate roles. That's basically the underutility of workers in London and the UK. And then on the right, we have overemployment in the UK and London, which is an indicator of work-life balance of the economic fairness indicators. So yeah, so this is all from me. So I tried to give a flavor of what the Center for Subnational Analysis does and how we are placed in that center and how we are a link between ONS and the GLA. So please make use of us, and please feel free to contact us at this email address. And if you want, you can also subscribe to that briefing, which is a newsletter, and it's very useful. GLA Economics have been receiving it, and I'm sure it's very useful to them as well. So yeah, thank you so much.